Morning everybody, and welcome to the Transport Data Initiative session today. I hope you're all well. My name is Carla Jakeman. I'm the Connected Transport Innovation Lead at Innovate UK. Hope you're all doing okay out there, and remembering that there are only 11 days left of homeschool, not that I'm counting. And in 46 days time, you might be able to get your hair cut, which obviously I'm really looking forward to. We're on the homeward stretch now. So I hope you're all doing okay out there in webinar land. So today's session, we are going to be talking about knowledge sharing for local authorities, and we're going to have a fantastic demonstration from the guys at 42, Rob and Simon at 42. So they have worked on the Innovation Nation platform and done a tremendous amount of work. There's hours and hours and hours gone into this, and we are thrilled with how it's gone and what's been done so far. This is an alpha system, so adding that right at the start, so we know there's still a lot to do, which is part of the reason that we're talking to you today. I know that Rob and Simon will ask for your support later on, so do please remember that this is just an alpha system at the moment. But what it's about is bringing together all of the different projects that have been funded and activities that are being funded around the transport area. So we know that there are some great databases out there already, which where you can go to see some of the information about projects, but multiply this by about 1 billion and you will see that this is like all of those databases added together on steroids, to coin a Rob Furlong phrase. So you will see as they do the demonstration how useful this will be to all of you guys out there. We're really pleased with how it's gone so far, and we are looking forward to developing it further as we go through. So I'm going to pass over in a minute to Rob and Simon. Simon's going to take you through the demonstration for Innovation Nation. And then we've also invited Llewellyn Morgan from Oxfordshire. So he has been supporting the activity, and he's going to give some experience from his side as a local authority on what he's managed to do with the platform, how it's useful, how it could be more useful going forward. And then we're going to have the main part of this will be a Q&A for you guys to ask questions. So Rob Furlong from KTN will be taking you through and doing the Q&A as the experienced Q&A question master that he is. So look forward to that. So please do have your questions ready, fire them in through the Q&A box. I think that's what we're doing today, Q&A box. If not, I'm sure we will correct that during the event, but if you put your questions in there, we will do our best to answer them for you. So I am going to pass over now to Simon.
Hello, good morning everyone. My name is Simon Young from 42. I look after Insight, and I'm going to be taking you through what the Innovation Nation platform looks like. Now I hope you can see that on your screens. If somebody can give me a thumbs up, yeah, marvellous, excellent. Okay, so as Carla said, Innovation Nation is basically a platform for local government communities to see all of the activities that are taking place around mobility from an innovation perspective. So this is all the projects, all the, everything that's going on around some of the themes that you're all familiar with. It's also a community platform, so it's very much about you guys really getting involved in this, to be able to share your ideas, share your concerns, share your interests, share your problems in a very safe space, so that you can. Oh, it's just got a.
We can't see your screen yet, so if you can maybe reshare and multitask.
I'm the assistant, I'll do that. There we go.
So yeah, so it's very much a platform, and it's all about local government people getting involved, sharing everything that they're interested in, and to be able to co-create new solutions, new ideas, and explore themes that you're interested in. So let's start off with the homepage. It's split into three areas basically. So there's a bit about what is Innovation Nation and an encouragement to join it. You need to be joined on this in order to get the most out of it. You'll get your own personal dashboard, and that's the only way also to be involved in the community discussions. So you have to enroll as a member, and of course it's entirely free, there's no charge or anything like that. And it's very much, as we said, a safe space for you to be able to talk about things that you want to talk about.
Well, at least that's what we're hoping anyway. We're trying to encourage as much candid discussion as we possibly can, because there's a lot of great resources out there. And I think where we felt that there was something missing was that sort of that real sort of insight piece afterwards. So it's great that these projects have taken place, but what really happened and how can they be accelerated? And as Simon said the other day, it's really about looking at what's happened yesterday so that we can build a better future from that. It's about taking those learnings and then sort of putting them all together. Sorry, Simon, jumped in.
That's absolutely fine. We're going to be doing this as a double act, so get used to it.
I interrupt, sorry.
So on the right-hand side of the homepage there, you can see some of the latest projects, and whatever has been most recently added to the database for projects will appear on that. There's also a bit about news, so we're updating the news on a I think it's a daily basis. And again, everything related to mobility here. And then there's a search box which allows you to search on any keywords or tags or organisations even for you to be able to go and find what you're looking for.
Just to jump in, just to go back to the latest projects as well. So every time there's an update from any of the funding sources, be that Innovate, be that local authority funded projects, be that EU projects, anything we can, every time we get it, if the latest ones will appear there. What we're also hoping for as well is, and this is what we're going to be asking you for, are the projects that haven't been sort of public, haven't been sort of competitively funded in respect that they're not Innovate UK, they're not DFT, maybe they're sort of projects that you've done. It's really important we get those in there as well, because I mean, from the stuff we've had from Oxfordshire, some of the stuff we had from Greater Manchester, there's a real depth of knowledge there. So as soon as we get those, they'll be live and they'll be there, and we'll be adding to it constantly the whole time.
Okay, so if we move to projects, so the first tab along the top there, or the first part of the menu. So the project page, again, the ones that you saw on the home page, you'll see those are the first 4 that are on the page for latest projects. But this will basically show as many as have been added recently to the database. Now, these are projects that are essentially either Innovate UK or other public body funding types of projects, which have a range of organisations working as a consortium. So, grant-based project work. It might be feasibility studies. It might be prototypes. It might be further down the line for production solutions to particular problems. But we also here have the kinds of activities that you as local authorities are doing yourselves, which may not be funded by anybody else other than your own staff and your own budgets. So we have an example here. Let's say South East Home to School Transport Shepherd. So if you want to click on there, Rob. So this will take you to an overview page. You can see at the moment there's not a great deal of content to that, but more and more will be added to it as the project progresses. And you can see at the bottom of the page you've got tags, which are all related to this particular project. Now, each project in this part of the database has to be tagged manually. I've had to go through quite a lot of them to identify what the subject matter might be. We would hope over time that if you're adding things to this, then you would actually identify what the right tags should be, because you want to make sure that other people can find it, so you can share the experience and outcomes that you've had from that. The other part, before Rob jumps in, which he's about to, on the right-hand side of there, we've also got not only the organisations that have been taking part in that particular activity. So in this particular case, it just happens to have been us and Oxfordshire County Council. But there's also the opportunity then to add any additional information to the project that you want to have included. So you might, for example, have a link to a public website as a result of something that you've done. You might have a published report. There might be a video presentation. So whatever it is that you want to share, basically, you can add there and create more detail. And we will then make sure that that goes into the overview page for that particular project.
I think, yeah, just to add to what Simon was saying, I mean, what's very clear from what you can see here, and you know, the reason we deliberately didn't fill this out, because obviously we can fill it out because we're responsible for the project itself, is that we're dealing with quite a base set of information. The system itself is geared up to take images, it's geared up to take video, it's geared up to take just about anything you can throw at it, including sort of opening up automatic forms in the community site, which we'll come on to a little bit later on. But the idea is that we've got to start somewhere, and we're starting from the sort of the very base, and we really do need help from both the companies that are actually involved in the projects, from yourselves, to actually sort of build it up and to enrich it. And if you can think about, okay, so what are the most important things that you would like to know from this? And if you can work with us to do that, there's a little form down here where it says add to this project, which is a very sort of simple form. That'll come through to us. That's one way of doing it, or you can use the get in touch, or just drop us a line. But whatever it is, please understand that at the moment, you know, as Carla said, as Simon said, this is really an alpha release. It's something where we wanted to get out the door to test it, and that's what we're asking you for. It's just like, please understand that this is a test, and it's certainly not ready. You know, this isn't a production version by any stretch of the imagination. So we just needed to get involved. Sorry, runs over.
That's absolutely fine. All right, if we move on to the next tab there, we've got Impact Labs. Now, Impact Labs is basically a way for you guys, when you've got a common problem and you really want to be able to find a common solution, and perhaps you only have a small amount of funding and you're trying to think, how can I make this stretch further? Well, if you all have the same problem and you all have, say, 25k or whatever to try and solve the problem in your area, then if you got together, you may be able to find a solution that actually could completely solve this issue, not only for yourself, but also for the other consortium members, so that you are basically combining resources. It's kind of crowdfunding, let's say. Yeah. And this, of course, means that you can make the money that you've got go further. You can get a much more complete and holistic solution, and that it can incorporate some of the concerns and ideas that you might not currently be encountering, but that other local authorities have already encountered or have already solved. So it's a way of really sharing the knowledge and sharing the resources to be able to come up with a solution that helps to solve that issue for all of you at the same time.
And I think as well, it's also just a way to, and what we're all painfully aware of is the fact that most authorities are now looking at how we can sort of add a little bit of revenue. I don't, you know, not silly revenue, but sort of how they can sort of offset some of the required savings. And what we've tried to do here is, I mean, we've just kicked it off with 2 projects, which we just happen to have done. And you know, that's only because we just wanted to sort of give examples more than anything else. And so what we did is we basically looked at the problem. So if I just sort of touch on Project Move, that was a response to rapid rural response for COVID sort of vaccinations and testings, and that's from Oxfordshire and Norfolk. And then, of course, with home to school transport, that was something that was, as we just touched on before, that was funded by Oxfordshire, but now we're opening up at the alpha level to other authorities to get involved. It's sort of right to the grassroots. And really what we're just trying to do is redefine that relationship between the public and private sector.
Okay, we'll move on now to the next topic, which is themes. Now, themes is basically, think of it as any topic that you're interested in. And it could include events, it could include roundtables, workshops, working groups, anything that you, and discussions in the forums as well. So anything that pertains to that particular theme. So this is the way for you to be able to discuss and to progress on your understanding of a particular area through group activities where you're all getting involved and helping to further not only the understanding but also the ideas and solutions that perhaps might be out there. So it's just a great way of sort of addressing the areas that you want to be taking part in, and that can spread right across, as I say, the community platform, as well as for project areas or roundtables or discussions or whatever. So the idea is that you would click on one of these to say, yeah, I'm interested in this, or suggest your own themes in the community area as well. Again, these are just placeholders as examples to show the kinds of things that we're thinking of here. You might think there's something far more important, in which case just put it in the community area, and then it can be set up as a theme.
I think that's absolutely right. I mean, these were just ones that we pulled out from sort of early conversations we've had. They seem to be relatively common themes. And again, as Simon says, you know, this is the whole point about the themes, and whatever you want to call it, task forces, special interest groups, whatever it is that all we're trying to do is facilitate a way for everyone to come together around a common interest. Now, that might take the form of a workshop, it might be, I don't know, it might be a program, it might be a task force. It doesn't really matter what it is. The point is that we come together, and then each one will be different. And what we're really interested in doing is sort of working with everyone as Innovation Nation to sort of structure that program so that everyone gets what they need out of it.
Exactly. Excuse me. So then the next tab along is news. So again, this is I think I mentioned it earlier. This is yeah, it's basically everything that's coming up that we've been trawling from different places. Did you?
Actually, yeah, I have. Yeah, but it's
yeah, the system's a little bit slow this morning, so you have to bear with us.
The joys of being back in the office. I tell you what, it's like I never thought I'd say this, but home broadband is better.
Yes.
Yeah. Bonkers, but hey, never mind. We will get there eventually.
Try again.
Rob, just a question that's come in that's quite appropriate sort of while we're here right now is that are we able to share a link to the site, or is it something that won't sort of handle the capacity if we share it right now? Is it something we can share to have people sort of go through as we go through it?
I'd be really happy to share the link, but on the understanding that we're looking for feedback and it isn't perfect. That's the only caveat. But yeah, I mean, we absolutely need to share the link. I also want people to come through and sign up, to try it, to get the bugs out of the system, to get the experiences better, you know, so how we can treat those experiences. Yeah, Tom, absolutely. Let's share the link. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. No problem. I'll do it now.
And magically, news has appeared while you were doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Beautifully done, Tom. Beautifully done.
I mean, again, it's purely just, well, this isn't illustrative, these are actual news items. If you wanted to click onto one of them, just take one at random, okay? Okay, that one. Then we've got the actual content of the specific news item there, where it came from, so the attribution, the date, how long roughly it takes to read through it, a little headline, and the tags that it relates to. And then there's also a suggestion about other topics that might be of interest as well that have similar tags.
And the other thing that we'll be doing as well is sort of as we go forward, so from the community there'll be an automatic bulletin on a Thursday afternoon, and also we'll also be putting together as we go forward any sort of wider news. What we'll probably be putting out, I would imagine to start with, probably on a monthly basis or on an event-driven basis. So feel free to sort of sign up there, and of course, you know, all the usual things apply. I'm not going to do anything weird with your email addresses. You know, we really do work with a lot of sensitive data, so yeah, we're not in it to sell you data.
There's the obligatory contact tab at the top there. That's simply, I'm not going to show you now. That's purely just to let us know that you're interested in something specific. The search functionality is interesting. So,
segue, right?
Do you want to give an example? Oh, yeah, okay. So if we want to put in, say, the iHub, so Oxford's innovation team, then you can see anything that's associated with some of the work that they've been doing. You've got a little bit about themselves. Now, again, for each organisation that signs up to this and that has projects or activities related in there, you have your own homepage. And by supplying us with the with photos and the copy and everything, you can make sure that it looks as like a showcase for your particular organisation. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're going to say something?
No.
Oh, okay. So if we just look down the page there, we've got, we've also got all of the tags related to projects that they've been working on, and also a list of projects that they've actually been completing. So you've got some of the various ones there that Oxfordshire has been part of, Oxfordshire Council's Innovation iHub team. And so clearly you can then just see the kind of expertise that they've got. And if you had ideas and you wanted to talk to somebody about those, of course you can contact them and find out more about a particular activity they've done.
And again, just to say that this is just an idea. I mean, Llewellyn was very, very helpful in sort of giving us some content for this and sort of helping us form some ideas about what might be useful on these pages. And it's really important to say that these are public links as well. So, you know, for some departments within certain local authorities, it might be quite helpful to have a public link that's not associated with the main council site, where you can share your mobility projects or your other projects or something else like that. So we're all ears in terms of how you want this to develop.
Exactly. So that's kind of the static parts of it, let's say. I mean, they're still dynamic in the sense that they're being built on all the time. The really critical piece here, though, is the community aspect. And so you can see on the menu bar there, it says whether you want to join or sign in if you've already got an account. So if Rob clicks on sign in,
I'll show you join.
Okay,
just it's a really simple process. Just a really quick. I'm not going to join up obviously because look at that serendipity takes it's leaves its one.
Oh, it's just taking ages today. Oh,
good. Okay. I'm just going to log in instead. But basically, what I would have showed you if the internet was a little bit quicker today.
There we go.
Dogs, Children and Innovation Centres, right?
So when you sign up and you actually have a login, then you have your own dashboard page. And this is where you can access the community information. So you first of all have your own profile and you can put any saved projects. You can see some of the latest news there as well. So just another place to make it a bit more amenable for when you first come into Innovation Nation. It might be your first port of call rather than the homepage each time. You want to go straight to your own dashboard. But this is where the community aspect is really absolutely crucial. So once you've signed up to Innovation Nation, you then you log in here once into this community area, and then it ties those two logins together for the rest of the time that you're using the site. So you can see here we have a range of suggestions in terms of particular interest areas. So we've got the the kind of the welcome general stuff that tells you kind of how to get going with all of this, and to encourage you, of course, to provide feedback on the site, because as we keep saying, this is just an alpha, and we really do want to understand what could be added or changed or improved, or what isn't useful or could be made useful even more. So there's opportunity here to add what you think is important and provide information about what you'd like to see in it.
And sorry, just to say, look, there's no ego to this whatsoever. It's just we had to kick the ball rolling, so it's basically us in an echo chamber at the moment. So these are just some of the ideas that we were thinking about that we didn't roll out for this version. And obviously Katie at Oxfordshire is getting involved. There's a few others. Anything that you want to do, just to add on to what Simon was saying here, is look, we've left this community open. So if you want to start your own space, the whole idea is that you'll be able to do that. You have the freedom to do it. You can make it private. You can make it closed group. We've just left it completely open for you guys to do exactly what you want with it, and so that we can sort of try and shape it going forward.
So we've got some of the co-create areas here. We've got some of the groups and associations. So TDI is here already in groups and associations, for example.
It's a bit bleak.
Oh, is it?
I'll get my mouse back in a minute.
Yeah. TDI next one.
Contact.
Oh, it's contact.
Okay.
That's
why I'm
contact.
going.
Okay.
TDI will have something in later on today.
What is going on with your Zoom?
My mouse is enjoying the state of the internet.
Okay, right. If you go on to the next one, though, I'm going to go down to the below there where it says task force and interest groups. Now, this is where you can add some of the themes that you're really interested in talking about. So we've matched up some of the ones that you saw on the themes page earlier.
Just a note on that. So actually, when we do add in, one of the things that we're thinking about doing is on that themes page is, well, two things. One is that when we put a new theme up, it will automatically create a thread within the community section, so that if you suggest a theme, it will open up a thread here automatically, so that other people can contribute to it and say, actually, yes, this is interesting, or what about this, or about this. You get the idea. And the other thing is that we want to, we were thinking about having some sort of voting system. So actually, what you could do, because obviously it's limited resources, we've got to start somewhere. What we're thinking about is sort of having all of the suggested. Let's sort of open it up and sort of say, okay, this week we need suggestions for the themes that we want to run for the next few months. And then basically we'll throw it out into the community and you'll be able to vote on it. And then obviously, it is a meritocracy. The one with the most votes will actually be taken forward, and then we can sort of work out a program from that.
But it means that we can set up events and workshops and all those sorts of things around what you actually want to listen to and take part in and understand better. Is there anything on the rural transport already or not? Yeah, click on that one. Hey. So, I mean, rural transport, for example, obviously in Oxfordshire, that's fairly significant for us, as I would imagine many counties. So, again, this is a way that you can add any question you like, or throw out a conversation starter type of piece, or comment on anything that anybody said. So,
and this was actually a project that we were sort of looking at for DFT and for Innovate. And what we'll be doing here is we'll also be adding sort of questionnaires, and we'll be with the permission of those that have taken part, we'll be sharing all of the outputs from that in this space over the next sort of month or so. So all of the workshop notes, the recordings, whatever everyone's comfortable sharing, so that we can actually then sort of throw it open to a wider audience. And we'll be putting some automated basic questions in there just to keep the ball rolling, and then we'll be able to follow that up as well. So again, I'm hoping that this will be one of the sections that we'll be able to build out a little bit, you know, in the next few months. But like everything else, that's entirely down to what you as the community want us to do.
exactly.
The only other one I think is worth having a look at as well is sort of is the innovator section. So actually what I thought would be quite useful, and what we were talking to Llewellyn and Katie over in Norfolk about, was actually sort of creating that sort of group where, you know, how do you approach innovation, how do you do that? But I'm not going to sort of jump in because that's Llewellyn's particular speciality, so I should leave that to him a little bit later on. But I just wanted to just sort of bring it to everyone's attention, really.
I suppose the only other thing to say about this is, at the moment, this is only intended for public sector bodies and organisations, which means you can talk about strategic policies or procurement or anything that even might be commercially sensitive. If it was to get into the private sector, you can talk about stuff without any fear, let's say, of it leaking. And it's really down to you as to what you want to include in that. So now that we've had an overview of the site, and before the questions that I'm sure will be out there, we wanted to ask Llewellyn Morgan from Oxfordshire County Council to just give a little run through about how he sees using this particular tool and what he thinks he can get from it.
Am I live?
Yes, you are.
I am alive, just about. It's actually interesting. We had a discussion this morning with the RAF, who was developing a Living Labs project, and it's actually on the base where the red arrows come out. And thinking about that, that shows sort of the use for this type of platform, because they had lots of different projects that were interested, that they were looking at. And we had a number of different projects that overlapped with some of their ideas, and it would be great to have a platform like this ready going into that conversation, so you could already, before you went into the meeting, look at where there's overlaps. So that was interesting, because I was thinking then, I'm just going to send them the link to the Innovation Nation Oxfordshire tab, so they can start to see some of the projects that we're doing. So that's what it's about, really. It's about sharing projects. So we, like I suspect lots of other councils, struggle with our communications and marketing, things that we do that don't fit in a nice box that says local government communications, please do not look in here. So we want to talk more about what we do, and that's just about sharing what we do with partners, and also trying to develop new project ideas, get new partners. A lot of our projects come from talking about what we're doing, which is why we do lots of the conferences, and getting new partners in, because most of our projects are Innovate UK, SBRI, or Horizon 2020 funding projects. So we're often the partner, not the lead, and we're the enablers to lots of these projects. So we only can continue to do different types of projects by having a really big network, and part of building that network is talking about what you've done before. And with the restrictions of a council's website and its staff rules, it means it's hard for us to get our projects out in a way that we want to display them, particularly as they're partner projects as well. So we've been really keen to utilise this as a sort of front end, I suppose, to show off the projects we do. We produced a brochure, which is a physical brochure, literally of all the things we do. And we put that on Issue, which is good. It's a nice thing to do, but it doesn't give you that interaction with the projects. It doesn't allow you to add more context to it, things like videos, We do a lot of the videos about the different projects, and you can embed them into the site. So that's what we're keen to do here. So this is good for us because it's the transport focused projects that we do. So it allows us to focus on one area. And what we're trying to do here, and what we've been doing with Rob, is to just try out putting some of the content on. So we've sort of piled a load of content over to 42, and they put this on here for us, which is very helpful. Thank you very much. It's easy. So what we're going to start to do as well is try and put some of our own projects up, and keep this updated. So what we're going to do in the future, I think, is use this as our front to what we're doing, to tell people about what we're doing, because it's simple, it's not very complicated, it keeps within our remit in terms of our communications corporately. It fits in with the other projects and the other Innovate UK projects in particular, but it also allows us to start to do a few more things, like as Rob and Simon mentioned, about starting to put our own challenges up. So the biggest area we're starting to move into ourselves is to do much more internal projects or internal challenges. So that's where things like the Impact Lab idea came from as well. It's about, we have lots of conversations with different authorities, and I think we're pretty good at working with different authorities and starting to develop ideas, but we know there's always the feeling that there's other authorities that we haven't spoken to, just because you just don't get to meet them. You don't meet up at the same place, you don't get that serendipity. So that it'd be really good to have a way to put forward some of our challenges and open them up in a truly open sense, so it's not just closed within the networks that we know. So that's what this is about, really. It was about when we've got these common projects and common problems that we've seen, using that to open up that challenge. So we've done that so we're looking at that with the home school transport, as Rob's mentioned, and looking at other partners to come in, because we know if it's a problem for us, it's probably a problem for another authority. We're also probably going to be putting up one around monitoring planning in the near future. That's something we're looking at starting to do with Cambridgeshire already, but we clearly think there's lots of opportunities for other authorities to join in that. And that's where we pool our resources together. That might be just resources, so it might be where we agree to put in people and staff time, or we actually have some funding and we can go out and sort of commission something together, and get a joint benefit of a solution that actually works, rather than probably just a feasibility report. So that's another big aspect to it, why we've signed up to this. And then if you go onto the forums, the forum bits, that's really interesting for us as well, because I think in the last sort of decade we've lacked discussions between different peer groups. I know 30 years ago, when I was doing some work, we were doing different works around doing new place and movement guides. It was when Managed Streets was coming out. I learned a lot by just talking to people. The same with developing Section 106 standards in the past, and how you do things, how you work with developers, basically exchanging tactics when you were working on the other side of developers and their different approaches. But the ability to have a really frank discussion with other local authority people was really important, and that's missing a bit at the moment. I felt like that's been missing, particularly in this sort of sector, this innovation sector. And that's as much just to make sure it allows you to make better decisions, allows you to work on things together, develop ideas. It allows you to just have a rant, to be honest, which is always a good thing. So this is that area, I hope, and that's why I think, however this evolves, there needs to be a closed local government section, so people feel free to talk, properly Chatham House rules about things, because that's really important. That's how things develop. It's also how you stop bad things happening and how you can shut things down. And that's, while it sounds negative, that's really important as well. But whatever, the reality is, in this world and the world we live working with different commercial partners, sometimes they can do things in ways that stop things happening. If we know about that earlier, then we can build tactics around working with those people and managing them, or not working with them if we can. So that just helps things work better, because it gives us a bit of insight and intelligence on our side. And I think that's really important, and it's something that I think I feel it's been lacking a bit in the last decade or so. So that's what this bit's about, really. The other thing that I think is useful for is so much is happening so quickly. So as a sort of test, I put one up there around micromobility. Lots of places have started to do their trials. Again, it's a completely new thing. There isn't a script on how you do this. I think there's at least 6 different operators in the UK that I counted. There might be more. So we've all got different operators. Some of us got the same operators. I think it's all been done in slightly different ways as well. What would be really good is just to share feedback on that. And again, that's being sort of open and honest, and on a local government side. And I don't think it's just about understanding how, if you manage the situation, how you manage this client, what would you do differently, all these sort of things, because these have been let on 12-month trial. Well, ours has been let on 12-month concessionary trial. We may re-procure, we may not, but some of the intelligence to make that decision would be best if it comes from the whole community, not just from us and our single experience, because there's the flip aspect as well. Sometimes you think, oh my God, this is going terribly, and then you realise it's not too bad, because we haven't had some of these issues. And if you sort of, a problem shared is problem halved and all that. So that's what that's about as well. I think there's so much stuff happening in mobility, so many new things happening, that if we share our experiences, it may allow more people to take the next step into doing that new thing, and therefore we build up some of those standards, those regulations, just those approaches, those partnerships, just that knowledge of how to deal with this new thing. So I think that's really valuable as well. And the good thing about this having a link into the likes of Carla and Innovate UK or UKRI, is I hope that having this intelligence and knowledge all in this one place starts to feed into how they then start to structure some of the funding and challenge rounds. That's my hope as well. And hopefully it's Carla's as well. But that's, I think, really important, so they can get an intelligence much more quickly in terms of these are the challenges, these are the gaps. So there's an opportunity to put funding into the gaps that have been identified by us as local authorities and transport authorities. So hopefully that sort of closes that loop as well. So you get that much more quicker and rapid learning. So that this is one of those tools to help us fix that. I think that's everything from my perspective, but I'm happy to take questions as always.
Thanks, Llewellyn. Am I live?
You are indeed.
I am. Hi. Thank you for that. That was excellent, and we are. I can guarantee that we will definitely be using it back at base. Innovate UK. And I just, before we go to the Q&A, I just wanted to remind people that we need your support on this, to make it as useful as possible, but also to highlight that one of the drives from us going round to various different local authorities and talking to you at Transport Data Initiative events, etc., is that we know that a lot of the activity you do isn't funded by Innovate UK at all. I know it's been mentioned a few times today, but we've often heard that one county is doing an activity and the next county have that same issue, and then they start talking, and how did you do it, and what did you do, what would you do better, and all of those kind of discussions can start happening. But sometimes these are activities that have been funded by completely different organisations or by yourselves, and we want all of that information as well. Excuse me, so please do start feeding all of that information as well, so we can make this a really, really rich platform. That said, I know we've got quite a few questions that have come in already. Thank you. So I'm going to pass over to Rob Furlong from the KTN, who is going to be our question master. Are you there, Rob?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much indeed, Karen. Thank you, Llewellyn, and Rob and Simon for that insight as well. Absolutely fantastic. Now, if you do have a question, please do put it into the Q&A box, and we will work our way through the questions as well for people. There's a couple of questions here that are associated to the same thing, one from Teresa and one from Christian as well, which is regarding about logging on to the platform and joining the platform, and who can actually do that, please.
Chip, shall I take one? Yeah, I mean, at the moment, what we've done is we've limited it to .gov UK addresses, so basically local authorities. But what we have done is we've built in something there that we understand that, you know, places like Transport for Greater Manchester, some of the other organisations as well, like British Parking Association, they all they need to do is just drop us a line and we'll actually make the exemption for it. The only reason that we've started it off like this was because we needed to start somewhere, and this was originally and still is a local authority initiative for local authorities. So that's why we've limited like that. But literally, if you just go to, let me just log out. Can you still see my screen, Rob?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So if you literally just, let's see if it works this time. Hey, there we go. Look at that magic. So literally, if you just go here, you can enter up. It's very, very simple. You'll get access straight away if you've got a .gov email address. If not, look, as I say, you can just email us here, and we'll, if you think you should be in there, we'll just sort it out for you.
Perfect. Thank you very much indeed. And another question here from a Mr. or Mrs. Anonymous, that they keep coming up, don't they, really? But it's asking the question, will the membership be an individual council or an individual within the council?
At the moment, it's set up as an individual, so it doesn't really matter which way you do it. So any of those individuals will be attached to an organisation. So when you sign up, as you can see here, you sort of put your organisation, and what that will automatically do is sort of pull everyone that's together. I would hope that individuals would talk to each other. Also, sort of groups would talk to each other within those councils, and then sort of point them towards their sort of central place. But it is individual at the moment.
And is there a way that if I am, say, let's for argument's sake, because Llewellyn's on the line, perhaps I work for Oxfordshire County Council and I suddenly log in, is there a way for me to know that actually Llewellyn from Oxfordshire is also a member of the site, just so it starts to link up coordinations within the local authorities? Yeah, actually, Rob, that's a really good point. So if I just sign back in again, what you'll be able to do is when you go to the members section, where you first log in, and then just log back in. What we'll have is a complete list of all the members on the login, on sort of the welcome page in the community, and you'll be able to see your colleagues and sort of people that you know there. And the whole idea is that that's as open as possible. So anyone that sort of signs up will actually be posted there. So yeah, you should be able to do it quite easily. But that said, if that's not working well, let us know and we'll sort it out. Absolutely, as we say, this is an alpha site out there. It really is this morning. Absolutely, we have to start somewhere, but you've got to get it out there and get it used to get people to have some feedback to create it through. But this is a complete process, using feedback to improve the site, because it is a service for you to use and for local authorities to use. And if it's not quite hitting the right buttons, let us know, please do. Carrie's actually said thank you for login information. She's created a profile, really easy, and the site looks good. So thank you very much indeed for that. Now this Mr. Anonymous has put his or her post back up again. Do you want to include third-party references stroke peer review references? Yes. So somebody's been in the forums, which is brilliant. One of the other ideas that we were thinking about was to actually sort of have, I suppose the way you could think of it, and is almost like a recommendation, like a trusted trader type of approach. So we've got in here, we've got the bones of the organisations, we've got the bones of the projects that they've done, and actually there's a whole bunch of other people out there who actually have provided really good services or really good products to local authorities. And then what we wanted to do was to allow a sort of a marketplace of recommendations. So yes, that's exactly what we want to be doing, providing there's a demand for it. Absolutely, thank you very much. What I'd also like to say to people that are listening as well, if you don't actually have a question, that's not a problem at all. Again, if you do have questions, please post them in. But also use the chat here now. If you're a local authority, what are some of the top 2 or 3 challenge areas that you've actually got yourselves as a local authority at the moment? Because what we could do is we can actually start this week to put those hooks for those challenge areas into Innovation Nation. So when you do sign up and you go in, there's a hook there ready for you to do it and start those conversations off. So please freely use the chat to put some your top 2 or 3 challenges in, and let's see what some of these themes could be and what some of these thematic areas can actually be. Now there's a question here about searching, and if you could just go through sort of the indexing of the site and how you'd actually search for items, please. I think if you could make that a bit clearer, Rob.
Yeah, of course. I mean, at the moment, what we're doing is we're looking at different ways of doing it. So as Simon pointed out earlier on, it's we've got an Elasticsearch on the site at the moment, so it'll pick up anything. It won't just go to one of the databases. So it won't just go to products. It won't just go to news. It won't just go to whatever. It's a site-wide search. At the moment, it's in its early stages, so we're still having some interesting teething problems, but that's to be expected. At the moment, it will just throw out anything that you chuck at it. So whether it's tags, whether it's keywords, what we wanted to do is what we're aiming for is we didn't want to have anything that was really rigid. So you didn't have to know what the project title was. You didn't have to know what it was. So and then the whole idea is connecting. So it's really, we wanted it to be sort of more driven by tags and keywords more than anything else. But guys, look, it's a work in progress at the moment.
Perfect. So yeah, just use the search and see what comes about. Also, again, this, as I said to you before, this is beta, and if you're finding it's not quite providing you the search results that you're wanting or looking for, or you've got other suggestions, please come back to us for some feedback and services. Now, we've put in the Innovation Nation website address into the chat, so again, please do use that and log in and see. So this is a question from Gerard. Has any consideration or work been done already on how this could help local authority got to get my false teeth in, how this could help local authorities share best practice on common issues relating to national transport schemes such as High Speed 2?
Yeah, well, I think it goes back to what we were saying before. I mean, that sounds like a really good theme to me. That's something that we could go in there and literally all we're trying to do is we're trying to provide the platform and the facilitation tools so that actually you can take a challenge like that, group everyone else together and just send a message out amongst the community and go, look, who else has this problem? And it literally is as easy as going in and what I was doing before, which was basically to go in. I mean, look, we can just go straight in here, create a space. And what would you like it called?
Well, if we do, we'll do one for High Speed 2, and it's a consideration. So let's put something in.
And it's done. I mean, it really is as simple as that. What we'll then do is we'll then sort of create some background information around it, give it a little bit more context, and then start to invite members. So what we can do is we can actually sort of have. With all of these things, it's always the way, isn't it? I mean, it's just like we could put something up there that may or may get noticed. So what we'll probably do is add a few of the sort of super user members just to keep the ball rolling, and especially the person or the sort of the group of people that have actually sort of suggested it in the first place, because if they're experiencing it, chances are they've already got somebody else, and we can start to pull these strands together. Yeah,
no, there's a question there. You've obviously generated that as High Speed 2, but actually a lot of people might search for HS2. Does that automatically generate a tag, or do you need to generate a tag for both ways, or how does you search on that now?
Yeah, we'll do the tags in the background, Rob.
So effectively, yeah. So I was just trying to say to people that that will be done via tags, and then anything with HS2 or High Speed 2 will then come through and looked at. So Mr. and Mrs. Anonymous has been at the keyboard again and asking the question: will members receive updates when new projects or other news is added to it? Or do you have to go in and log in and search for it yourself?
No, so if you're on a Thursday afternoon, if you are logged in and a member of the community, you'll get an update. And the second thing is that we'll probably, as I said before, with the newsletter, we'll probably do an events-driven newsletter or a probably bi-weekly or monthly newsletter as well. So yes, you can go in and log in, but we'll also be wanting to sort of post things actually out to the community directly as well. What we don't want to be doing though is we don't want to literally, I mean, you can, when you go into the community, you can set your settings and actually say, notify me when something else, when something new arrives, notify me when somebody posts me. But we just don't want to have that sort of that madness of like bing, 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 bing the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm hoping there's that much interest in it. So you know, I'm saying that, but.
Now there was just a comment here from somebody from Transport for Greater Manchester, and they're just asking, strictly speaking, we're not a local authority but a transport authority. I assume we're still okay. Well, of course you're still okay, but secondly, yes.
I don't know though, they're Greater Manchester. I don't know. If that's you, Sam, yes.
We've actually added you as an exception already, don't worry, because you guys gave us some really nice base content that wasn't in any of the databases, which we need to flesh out. But yeah, don't worry, you're on the list, you're coming in.
Absolutely. So yeah, absolutely, transport authorities will be included in the sign up and being able to get access to the other forms, so no problems at all. I see some people are putting some challenges in as well. So Jackie's got our biggest challenges: maintenance of assets, loot detection, road surfacing especially, and someone else is saying absolutely decarbonisation and a catalogue of local authority, e.g. WPLs, etc. Now, I don't speak local authority, I don't know what you mean by WPLs, etc., but hopefully people here will do that. Another question from Anonymous is saying, might be useful to be able to group local authorities regionally under the SNTB geographics. Again, I assume that's some sort of local authority speak, but question for you, Rob.
Yeah, so under the subnationals, yeah, of course we can. I mean, the other thing that we're hoping to go forward is that there are so many different ways that we can access this data. I mean, we've looked at the geospatial interfaces, we've looked at how you would handle it as a region, and basically what we did was, yes, that's absolutely right. Yes, that's exactly what we want to be doing if it's what's required. But at the moment, we've just sort of pulled back on doing that because we needed people to come in there and actually start using it first. And then once we start to see how people are using the site and what they're getting from it, we can then sort of organise the content as an, you know, to best fit, basically.
Can I add something to that as well? I would be a little bit cautious about just keeping within your own region as well, because certainly we've had some brilliant projects in the past where we've had maybe 4 or 5 local authorities which none of them border on each other at all, and it's worked really well because they didn't border on each other, because you know you guys do have some interesting politics, as we all know. So I wouldn't necessarily just stick within your own regions, you know, find out what's happening in a completely different region, because they could have some great know-how that you might be able to apply to your region. So be a little bit cautious about that.
Yeah, and I think I'll go back to a statement that Llewellyn put through, which is, you know, you have your closed loop of local authorities that you continuously talk to and know about, and how this starts to get you to open out beyond that and get to know people you don't know and can ask the questions that you don't know you need to ask, and it's that broadening out of something and doing something slightly different. So yes, we were, as Rob said, looking at trying to put a map of the UK and pointing where all the projects are in the UK and zooming in. If people would like that feature and function, absolutely we can explore projects and what's in the database geographically, but as I say, this is an alpha and it's for feedback to see what people would like to have. Now we have no more questions up coming through, so if you do have any other pending questions, please do put them in now. But obviously this is not the end of this is just the beginning of this journey. You'll have my contact details, you have Tom's contact details, you've got Carla and Rob Hale and Simon's contact details as well. Please get in touch with us, integrate with us. If you'd like, you know, you've liked what you see today, but you go back to your organisation and think, oh my goodness, I really want to find out more about it. We're more than happy to do a demonstration like this to yourself with other colleagues within your local authority or transport authority to help you understand it a little bit more and to push the capabilities within your organisation. So that is completely open to you anytime you like. Please just drop us a line. But if we have no more questions, what I'll do, I will pass back to Carla and thank you very much.
Thanks, Rob, and thank you all for doing the demo and for your questions. Hopefully, once you get the link and start having a look and a play, you'll be able to, you might think, oh, can we do this, or how do we do that? And you can start firing those questions off to us. And just to try and reiterate really that this will only be as good as the information we can put in. So if there are projects in there which have come from, for example, Innovate UK's database, and you want to add additional information to it, please do. You've got the facility to do that, to make those basic inputs even broader with as much information as possible. So just to kind of summarize really that we need your input. This is an alpha version. We want to build this in as many different directions as possible. So if you've got ideas of things that you'd think, oh, I wish it could do that, again, as Rob said, please do let us know. From where we were at the beginning, it's incredible how this is, every time I log into this platform, it's grown and grown and grown, which is great to see. Remember, it's a tool for you to be able to share best practice and know-how. So, oh, we've got a problem with micromobility. Who's done that already? Let me see. Or what did they do? How did it go? Can I talk to them? And then you can start these conversations. Well, we did this, but if we did it again, we'd do something slightly different. And you can create those conversations in that community where you can have those Chatham House rules conversations in local authority speak, as Rob said. It's a slightly different language to for some of us. So, that will be your area. We will be supporting as much as possible from the side from Innovate UK to try and pull out what are the key challenges that you guys are having, so we can whether they're funded by Innovate UK or some of our managed fund partners, we can always try and make sure that they get fed into all of the different teams at Innovate UK and our funding partners to try and make sure that we cover those areas when we're looking for solutions to some of the challenges that you guys are experiencing. I think that is everything I needed to say. Please come back to us with any more questions if you think of them afterwards. Please do have a really good look at it. Make sure you use it, make sure you feed back to us. And I think the key takeaway today is there's only 11 days left until the end of homeschooling. So make sure that you remember that point. Not that I'm counting down or anything. But thank you very much for the TDI for hosting, and to Tom and the team for setting all of this up, and for everybody for dialing in. And I hope you all stay safe, and thank you very much. Take care. Bye.